is the 11th workshop from the PYF Winter Academy, and I'm your host for today. And we have, a lot of people joining us today. So let's begin by a quick introduction. We have Bushra, who is our head of education. So, Bushra, over to you for the introduction, and then we move to, our other volunteers, and then to education, then to workshop leads. Bushra, do you want to do the introduction first? So then I run by the workshop rules. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's fine. So let's start by workshop rules. They are very simple. And most of you have joined us before, so they are just, a refresher for all of us. The first one, it is not, don't use your mobile phone. Many of you have joined us from your mobile phone. So it is just a representation of don't be distracted. Don't try to, use something that will distract you. Withhold judgment. Be open. Keep your mind open. Welcome the participation, and let everyone present their opinion and come up with their questions and perspective. Next is a very important one. Please keep the video on. It's a very media related workshop, so the webcam will make it very interesting, and it increases the productivity and the objective of the workshop. So please try to switch on your webcams for as long as you can, and if at any point you cannot, please let me know, so I know that you have a problem and you cannot keep your cam on. And also, by keeping your cam on, it's a sign of respect for everyone else in the room. Next, let the information flow in. Grab as much as you can, and feel free to ask questions and listen to others' opinions. Discuss, ask questions. If you have something in your mind, please feel free to share. You can either at some point when the workshop lead invites, you can unmute yourself and talk, or use the raise hand feature of Zoom, and you will be invited to speak and present your point of view. Next is enjoy, as much as you can, and over to our volunteers. So if I may start with our head of media, who is volunteering with us today. So over to you, Sabila.
Hi everyone. So my name is Sabila. I'm the head of media here, and I just hope you all have a great workshop ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And now, drum roll, over to Zainab Square. So both the Zainabs will lead the workshop.
Hello, assalamu alaikum everyone. Hope everyone is doing well. So I'll just give a short introduction about myself and what background I come from. I'm basically a fifth year, a grad student in Ajman University in architectural engineering. And I have this very big passion for content creation and graphic design. And I can say architectural engineering has kind of pushed me towards that side. But at the end of the day, it was my passion and my own drive to learn content creation and delve into graphic design. So I hope that all of you take advantage from this workshop and feel like you can also do something and basically enjoy the workshop overall. Over to Zainab Khalid. Zainab, you're mute, I think.
Okay, now you can hear?
Yep.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. This is Zainab Khalid. I hope most of you are familiar with me. And we have been taking one of the workshops together. So even I'm also familiar with most of the faces. So I'm basically a textile designer by profession, and it's been 2 years I've graduated, and now I'm learning graphic designing by passion. So I hope you enjoy this workshop, and you have lots of fun. So let's continue with the presentation. So we have today, which is, you all know this is a Photoshop workshop. I know you all have been familiar with Photoshop. Let me ask, the next one is, we have been given our introduction. As you all know, this is me and this is Zainab Khalid, my colleague. The icebreaker presentation. Everyone have introduced yourselves. I have seen most of them. Some of them have shared that they want to become an interior designer. Some of them are looking forward to this workshop. And I hope you get to learn a lot of things in this workshop. I have prepared a very simple presentation for you all to enjoy most of the time and then understand. Okay, let's start. Now, most of you must have been aware of the term design. So can you all just write down some point, like what is design actually for you? I would like to see some point. It could be any bullet points or just one word for you. What do you think is design? We have a beautiful pattern, structuring. Then you have expressing creativity. Creativity, okay. Then design is a way to make things become more appealing. It is style, creativity, playing with colors, fresh ideas or plan. Oh, that's great. Everyone is familiar with this term. So, have you ever, anyone ever used this software before, or have you ever heard of this software before? Photoshop? Just give me an answer with the yes or no, anything. Abdullah Tar said yes, there is yes, Mariam
No.
heard of it. That's nice. You have, okay, so you all have heard of this. And also what? That's good. Photoshop make good name too. That's true. These days now, like during the COVID period, we have a lot of new memes to see. Okay. Some of them say no, you have not used. Muhammad bin Farhan Nawal said no, they have not used. Okay. So let's head to the main presentation. So you guys are quite familiar with the term, which is design. So next is the first thing that we're going to learn is the elements of design, which is everyone should know, which is the basic. We say that you have six elements of design, namely line, shape, direction, size, texture, and color. So like line, you all know that we have straight lines, diagonal lines, horizontal, vertical lines. So these are the basic elements of design. Whenever you start a design tool, the when two shapes meet or two lines, when 2 points meet, that makes a straight line. Secondly, you have shape, which is free-form shape or natural shape. That means you can have a regular shape or an irregular shape. You have 2D shape and then you have 3D shape. All these compile in shape. Thirdly, we have direction. As I mentioned in the lines, you have horizontal, vertical, or oblique. So every line in design have a meaning. Whenever you say when you're working on a professional flyer, brochure, or business card, so you always see that design or making a line always matters. Whenever there is an extra line or you have to remove that line, anything, so direction matters whenever you're designing. Fourth is the size. Size also matters, that you have to keep your design centralized or you have to extend it to the whole page. That is size. The area that is occupied by the design is the size. Then you have texture. Texture is you might be having some rough design, then smooth, soft, hard, and glossy design. These are all related to design, or you can align, or you can say shape, or whatever picture that you're using. That also matters in your design. Then colors. Color is the hue, which is the basic. We have RGB, that is red, green, and blue. And then you have the value, that means how dark or how light is your design, or how dark or light picture that you're using, and the intensity of how bright or dull your design should be. So whenever you're presenting, so you have to take care of these design, these elements of design, whenever you're starting with Photoshop. Second is the principles of design. Now we have also 6 principles of design. I think you guys are quite familiar with these terms because you always we all are designers in one and another way. We all use take a paper and pen, you grab it and you draw anything that you use. These meanings are there in your design. The first, we have balance. That means you provide stability to design. So you can see these are some of the works that I have done. So these are, this is symmetrical design, then you have asymmetrical. So you have to take care of the space and the dark spaces in them to make care of a design in a page. And then you have a radial design. These are also related to doodling. Most of them have done doodling, so that is the radial design. Then you have proximity. Proximity talks about the whenever you're designing something on a paper or on a computer. So you might have noticed, you are thinking, okay, let me add square here, let me add a rectangle over here. So that you have to take care of how you have to link those shapes together in a page. So that's all about proximity. Then you have alignment. Alignment is the spacing between the lines or shapes or any picture that you're using in your you can say artboard. So these are some of the examples, like when you draw a poster, so you usually take care of the spaces between facial elements. And then you have these lines arranged in a page, so you have equal distance rectangular squares placed in an artboard. Then here you have repetition, which creates a rhythm of movement. See, this is also some people are not professional in drawing, so what they do is they take care of the spacing between the elements and they will keep on repeating the same elements. So that's also a part of the design. See, like how they have used a triangle and these dotted lines. They have separated these, and then it looks quite good on a paper. Last two will be, one is contrast and then one is space. Contrast means that the element that you want to highlight on your art, depending on the colors that you're using. So now see, they have separated these two elements, that is the background and the foreground, with two different colors. That yellow one is more highlighted than the background. So whenever you see a picture, so you see, oh, there's a balloon. So because that one is more dominated, that is contrast. Then last one is space. Space is the separation of black and white images, because this is the dark background that they have used in the image, and then they have separated this with the poster, because you usually don't see faces in a poster. So they have used some bit of a blue color here and the facial expression, so that it is differentiated with a dark and a lighter color. That is space. So these were the elements and principles of design that we have done. Next. Okay. So if you have any question related to the previous, I have explained, so you can just put down your point, or you can unmute yourself and then ask, so we can be. If you have any questions, you can write down, and then Zahid will let me know if you have any questions, so we can answer them at the end of the session. So with a lot of information, let's go to the next one, which is the different softwares of design that we usually use, and they work in hand, which is Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe InDesign, and Adobe Effects, After Effects. So basically, these softwares, we cannot just work on one software. These software has to be there so that you can get a complete design of whatever you're thinking. Suppose if you are designing a picture, in Adobe Photoshop, and then you want to give it a 3D effect, so you need an Adobe After Effects software. But if you are capable of doing Adobe Photoshop, all these are just a piece of cake for you. You can learn all these in just whenever you can just practice on them. If you have a passion in design, or like using digital, making digital design, these all are nothing to you then. So these all software are also linked to one another. How? Suppose if you're editing something in Photoshop, and you want to, you forgot, you said, oh, I wanted to do this in Illustrator. So you can drag that image from Photoshop to Illustrator easily. There is nothing that you have to do. You have to save the pictures and then bring them here and edit them all over again. This is how Photoshop works. I mean, all these Adobe softwares work. These are just magic. You can do anything in them. And then how related to these software that I've told you, these are some of the terms that you need to be aware of, and you will clearly understand them when we'll have the Photoshop session by Zainab. So I'll just get you a quick understanding of these terms. Like we have raster images and vector images. Raster is also known as bitmap. So what is a raster images? See, this one you can see. Raster is basically a build-up of millions of pixels, which is also known as DPI or PPI. DPI is dot per inch, PPI is pixel per inch. So you can see like it is slightly pixelated on the outline, right? And then vector images, they are usually built up with paths. This is called path. So these paths, when you draw with these, so you usually end up with a design with no pixelated boundary. So this is the difference of raster and vector. The raster usually you have when you're working on Photoshop, and because Photoshop we usually work with layers, and then vectors you have in Illustrator. As Illustrator we work on paths. So you have to remember all these because we have a quiz coming up. So keep in mind all these points. The next is CMYK and RGB. CMYK is whenever you are working on Photoshop and you want that work to be printed. So you're using this format, which is CMYK. And when you're working on a Photoshop and you want that picture for your website or you want it to do on your social site, so you use RGB. So this comprises of three colors, and this is usually additive colors, and CMYK works as subtractive colors. These combine and make millions of colors which end up with a black, and RGB combines to make white. So the full form of this is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Then you have red, green, and blue. A resolution of 300 is usually used when you're working with the printout thing, when you want that design to be printed. So you keep a resolution of 300. And then if you are working for a web or your social site, so you use a resolution of 70. I hope that is a lot of information for you, for the ones who have actually not worked on that software. But let's just see how much you have accumulated. Now we have a quiz time, so just open up your chat and then you have to answer quick. Let's see how many of you actually understood. First is you just have to answer using Adobe Illustrator provides us vector images, yes or no. You just have 5 seconds. Fill up your chat. Is it a yes or no? Oh, so many answers we have. Okay, that's a yes. Let's see. What is the answer? Yes, because Illustrator works with paths, so it provides vector and calculated images. That's great. Okay. The next question you have. Okay, design may should be visually connected in some way. What was this? Was it balance or proximity? Okay, we have one answer which is proximity, 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 proximity. Everyone is proximity. That's great. Let's see the answer in 3, 2, and 1. The answer is proximity. Oh yeah, you guys are getting it. Okay, and then the last one we have is resolution 300 is used when we are designing for print. Is it true or false? Okay, we have yes, true, 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 yes, true. Okay, that's nice. Let's see what the answer is. The answer is it's true. Yes, you got it right. Okay. That means everyone have understood the elements, principles, and different software that we have learned, and then the different term that we should be aware of while you're using this software. That's very nice. Okay, let's get to the next one. Okay, now these terms you might have learned, come up with whenever you're doing even your art classes or you're attending any, you're using a paintbrush or anything. So these terms you must be aware of them. These are color theory, which is primary, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. So what are these? Okay, just you guys tell me what do you think are primary colors? Please give me a quick answer. Oh, that's nice. The basic color which are blue, red, and yellow. Red, blue, and green. It's not yellow. It's red, blue, and green. It's RGB are the basic colors. Yes, absolutely right. Then we have Hadia, Nurullah saying RGB. Saida Atika RGB, Muhammad bin Farhan RGB. That's nice. Yes, we RGB are primary colors. This is the color wheel that we have. We have the primary colors as red, blue, and oh, yellow it is. Red, blue, and yellow. So green is actually a secondary color. So if we look at this color wheel, whenever I'm working on this software, so I have this color wheel open on the right side of my page because I usually pick up my color forecast from these colors. So what I'm working on today. So suppose if I'm working on a business card, I'm working on a flyer. So I usually pick up 3 to 4 colors from these and then I start working on them. So it's better everyone has the color wheel open on the side of their screen whenever you're working with Photoshop or any software. And then we have secondary colors. How do we name? We do this. We have like red, blue, and yellow here. And then we have our secondary color which are next to them. It is, you will see that whenever you have a color wheel, so on the center, on your right, and on your left, you have the primary colors. Then leaving one space, you have the secondary colors. If you see, right next to the red, you have red violet, which is the tertiary, then secondary is here. Then you have blue violet, then you have primary, secondary here, tertiary here, and then secondary here because this is the primary color. Then after one primary color, you leave one, which is tertiary, and then you have a secondary color. This is how whenever you use this, you will get used to it, and this is actually really good, and it works wonders whenever you're using this. Okay, next we have, everyone have their favorite colors, right? So let me guess how many of you have their favorite colors. What are your favorite colors? Yes, that's right. Secondary colors are made up of primary colors. Oh, so many colors. You have black, yellow, white, red, blue and black, red and black, white, red, purple. Most of them have black as their favorite colors. Black is also my favorite color, but I prefer blue to be my most favorite. Pastel tones. Sumaya and Mariam says pastel tones. Nawal Faisal yellow or blue. Mariam Yasin black. Okay, have you ever wondered what these colors actually mean when you have made them your favorite colors? Let's just see what actually these colors mean. I have all your favorite colors here with their definition. So let's see. Here first we have, no one has red as their favorite color, right? I think moms usually have their favorite colors as red. My mom's favorite color is red. So let's talk about red. Red, okay. You see that you have these signs here. What do these signs actually mean? These mean that these colors are warm or cool colors. So let's suppose if you have a red color, so red color is actually a warm color. And what do these mean? It means red is aggressive, energetic, provocative, attention grabbing. So whenever someone's wearing red, so you always look at that person here. Say, oh, she's wearing red. Then you have a next color which is green, and this is most of the this is also a cool color, and it the code that it is used for, it is for wealth, health, prestige, and serenity. Then you have brown. No one said brown, right? So brown is actually a cool color, and it is earth-like, natural, simplistic, and durable color. Then we have 9 more colors to go. Let's get on. Then we'll have a lot of information. Then I know you guys must be waiting for the actual thing to go, for the workshop thing. Okay, then we have blue. Blue, most of them said blue is a trustworthy color, dependable, secure, responsible, and it is a cool color. Then we have orange, which is a warm color, and orange represents vitality, fun, playful, exuberant. Then we have white. White is pure, noble, clean, and soft, and it is also a cool color. Then we have last three colors, which is purple. Purple is beautiful. Purple is, she represents royalty, sophistication, nostalgia, mystery, and spirituality, and it is also a cool color. Then you have yellow, which represents positivity, light, warmth, motivation, and creativity, and it is a warm color. Then lastly, we have black that most of them said, which is a warm color, and it represents prestige, value, timelessness, and sophistication. So I bet most of you have got the hold of colors and what they mean. Didn't the Roman use purple as the official color? Let's see what colors would you would prefer to have. Okay, we have lots of industries, right? Like we have a technology industry, then we a company, and then we have a restaurant, then we have offices. So they all have a signature color for them. So I have a small game prepared for you. Let's see your mind. Let's check your mind. What would you say? Or what these categories would actually pick colors? Okay. So we have a list of colors here. And from that category, you have to choose what color this category will actually select. So you have food. That means this is restaurant. So what do you think? Which color would this category pick out? Be quick. Five,
Yellow.
4. Okay, one. Someone says yellow. Okay, most of them says yellow, white, green, red. Okay, Mariam Yasin says red. Then Sumaya Mariam says red, green, white, of course, white and yellow, white, red and yellow, probably green. Okay, let's see what the answer is. We have here, this is red. Restaurants usually have red color in them, and you must have seen most of them. You have KFC, you have McDonald's, you have Pizza Hut. They all have red in them, right? So these are the restaurants that usually use red in them because these restaurants are all attention grabbers. Sorry. Okay, next we have a category which is health. I think this everyone will guess, right? Let me see. This is red, green, white, blue, and white. Red, blue, blue, white. Red and white, blue, green. So just one color you have to say. Okay, some says red, blue. Okay, let's see what health. See, whenever you're thinking about health, you have that professional vibe and trustworthy vibe. So do you remember where we had trustworthy? Let, yes,
Blue.
that's right. We had in blue. So blue is the color for health. So whenever you're designing for anything for hospitals or clinics or any healthcare facility, so you usually include blue in them. Okay, next category we have is energy. So whenever you're designing for sports, what do you think? Which color will they add? Green. Someone says okay. An says yellow. Then one orange. Laiba Rahman yellow, green, and then orange, green, blue, white. Okay, Nurullah is confused. Then you have red. Abdullah Tar says red. Hibafi green, yellow, dark blue. No, we don't have dark blue in the option space. You have to choose from these options. That's kind of hard. Hizar says no, it's not hard. Think. See, where did I mention energy? Think, think. It's really easy. Okay, let's just see what the answer is. The answer is yellow. Yellow was a warm color, and then yellow usually is included in sports. Do you have any example of any sports where they include yellow? Any sports where they have used yellow? Javelin, volleyball, sunshine sports. See, sunshine sports is a good example. They have a big billboard that is all written in yellow. This yellow represents the color of energy. Okay, let's just. Are you guys enjoying this? Are you guys not bored, right? Okay, let's
Yeah.
get. Okay, that's nice. Okay, let's just get to the next category. We have finance. What do you think? What color will we use for finance? You have banks, and then you have what else? Everyone says green, green, blue, green. Okay, lots of the answers are in green. Green, duh. Lots of green. It better be green. Green, green. Most of the answers are green. Let's just see if they are the winners. No, it's purple. Finance is actually represents um, royalty, right? So banks are usually in purple. So once banks are officially spiritual, I know everyone, even I, when I was doing this, I was really shocked. I was designing a poster for a financial center, and they actually told me to, and I included all of green in them because I've heard of, you have so many banks here. You have Dubai Islamic Bank, you have ADCD, they all have green. But they told me you have to include purple in it because purple is the royalty color. Okay, let's just get to the next category, which is household. Now, this you must guess it right. Come on, come on, come on. I want answer for this. Brown, brown, white, green. The Mariam Yasin says brown, green. Yes, Emirates Islamic Bank has purple color. And then you have white. Then can it be blue now? Nawal Faisal says, okay, let me see what is household. Household is green. Most of them get the green. I guess I have some answers which are green. So Mariam, Asma Wise says green. Yay. The next one you have is technology. Now this is very easy. I bet you get this right. Let's have the answers in 3, 2, 1. Blue, blue, blue. Everyone says blue, blue, blue. Okay. Let's see. The answer we have is black. This is black. We have this as black because most of these, see, you have Dell, you have Asus, you have all these technology companies which uses black in them. This is rigged. It's not rigged. This is actually, these answers are actually taken in an authentic research. So that's why I wanted you guys to actually learn these. It was actually surprising for me too. Okay, let's get to the last category, which is clothing. Now get this last one right. See, this one has two colors. A hint has been given. This one has two colors.
Sorry, Zainab, I have to, just interrupt you for a second. I just
Mm-hmm.
have a request to everyone participating. If you can just stick to what is being asked by the workshop lead to answer in the chat rooms, no unnecessary chats, no unnecessary emotions, publicity, messages, exchanging
Okay.
messages with each other. People are complaining that this is kind of distracting them, and this, kind of breaks the rhythm of the workshop lead as well while she's trying to see what people are answering. So please respect that and respect everyone in the room. Thank you. Sorry, Zainab,
Thank
continue, please.
No, absolutely. It's okay. Thank you, Zahid. I guess you guys just be answering the question. Okay, you got this. We have white and purple, orange and yellow. Clothes must be purple. Okay, let's see what the answer is there. We have brown and white for this. So those who guessed white were right. Brown is also most of the clothing. We include brown in them. Now let's get to the next side. Okay, these I just wanted to include so that guys, when you're working with Photoshop, some of you must not be clear with the colors they might use, or they wanted a forecast of colors to continue doing their designing their flyers, brochures, or anything. So these are just the sites that I wanted you to recommend. These are very authentic and actually good sites, which is Pantone. You can write them down on your book or on a paper so that you can visit them and just see if they're really good to them, good to you, which is Pantone, WGSN. Then you have Color Hunt and MyColor.pay. These are you have all the colors available in this, different variants of colors in there. And the last session of this is my story. I would just advise you guys that whenever you're doing a freelance, you must have heard of this term. And in this pandemic, freelance have increased to a really great level. Everybody on the other are doing freelancing because they prefer working from home, right? So, first of all, my first point will be you should not take graphic designing on a very easy level. Graphic designing or anything, or working with any software, you need time, your investment of time, your investment of imagination, and a lot of practice. So it's been 2 years for me. I have been looking for different places where I should start with and how I should work, because I was just a textile designer and I had no clue of graphic designing. But I was very passionate about drawing, sketching. So I thought, why not taking that to a thing where I can actually digitalize them and present it to the world out there, because nowadays everything is online. You must have seen everything is online. So presenting your work or selling your work, so you can start with even your own thing, or you want to become a seller. So these are two options. It is all up to you, whatever you prefer. So first, you have these different freelance marketplaces that you should visit and explore them. And also, if you do not want to work on these, what you can do is you can just download the software that you have and then start doing all the, have a rough paper or pen, sketch anything, and then take it to the software, then draw on your own. May not it be very professional. Anything is a design in the end. So what you can do is you can go to social sites, which are Instagram, I would prefer. Then you have Facebook. You can open up your own page, and then you can sell your work there. You can post your work there, and anywhere in the world, there are lots and lots of people. They will get to you. They will see your work. They will see your hard work, and they will be like, okay, this person is very responsible and creative. So let's get to them. So this is how you will start. So you have to be believe in yourself, give yourself time, and whenever you have time, daily, even 1 hour, you can give yourself, and then just start practicing on a software that you will be actually enjoying today. Then Khadim has many interesting things planned for you. So I hope you have a good session with me. And next, if you have any questions, you can just write them down, and we'll head to the next session, giving you guys a 5 minutes break, and then to head into the next section, which is Photoshop time. So you can have a 5 minutes break, get yourself having a lot of information that I have given accumulated.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much,
Thank
Zainab.
you
That
so
was
much.
really helpful. Just if you don't have the Photoshop, which was asked by Zainab, that you need to have it on your machine. You don't have to panic. Zainab will take you through, the process, and she will tell you how she uses. So you can just, follow her and practice it on your own later. So if you have it, well and good. If you don't have it, don't panic, and it is okay. It's not end of the world.
Just a pointer, just to clarify, like it only works on laptops. So if you download it on your phone, that does not work because Photoshop is a desktop slash laptop software. And also, it's best if you have a mouse. So just make sure that you have these two things ready with you, And as I had mentioned, like you don't need to panic. This is all going to go on YouTube, so you can just go back and look at the videos. But it's best if you do have it, but just don't panic. So we're just having a break. I think maybe till 6. Let's have it till 6:50 for everyone to just settle in, and if they need time to download the software, and then I'll start in 2 minutes with the introduction to Photoshop. See you in 2 minutes.
So in case you are planning to just follow Zainab and you don't need to download the application, just let us know in the chat box so we make use of the time and start.
Okay, everyone. I think I'm gonna start with just a few instructions or pointers for the session, because keep in mind that this session will go on for 2 hours. And that's a long time, but I feel like when we're actually gonna delve into just the work of it, you won't notice the time. So just a few pointers. If you have any questions throughout the session, please use the raise hand function, and then I will allow you to ask your question. And please use please switch on your microphones, because it's hard for me to go back to chat, and then or else it's harder for me to let someone else tell me and then me answering the question. So it's better if throughout the session you just raise your hand, and then I'll allow you to answer, and then you can just switch on your microphones and ask the question there and then. Don't wait till I go to the next step to ask me the question for that step, because that's kind of like breaks down uh, the flow or the process. So make sure, like, if you have any question, ask it at that point where I am on that step. I mean, I won't reprimand you if you ask me anytime later, but just to keep it as a smooth process, just make sure that you ask any questions you have then and there on that instruction or on that tool, or where to find a tool or something like that. um Also, just keep in mind that I'm here to help, I'm here to teach you guys. So if you don't understand anything, just make sure to please ask me. This session will be recorded and will be posted on YouTube, so you can go back and like check it out. And also, it'll be best if you have like a paper or a pencil next to you, because it really helps if you kind of jot down the commands, because everyone is not a genius and does not have like the capacity to remember every command if you're just like if it's your first time in Photoshop. So just make sure that you have either a mobile phone, you're noting down the commands, or if you think you can remember, just um, go ahead with you do you basically. I think also, like, I just want to give a pointer that if everyone's okay with having maybe just like 30 minutes extra at the end of the session, I'm not saying it will happen, but there is a possibility that we might go a bit overboard, because I do want to teach you guys as much as I can in these 2 hours. So just keep in mind that whoever can stay, that's up to you. It's not a compulsion that you have to stay for the next, like, for the extra 15 minutes or half an hour. But just I'm just keeping leaving it out there that there is a possibility to kind of extend the time a bit. And I think that's it in terms of instructions for the whole session. um, I think everyone, whoever has downloaded the software, can see this screen when you open the software. And keep in mind that it's only 7 days free trial. So if you do want the full version, there are other sources that you can get it from. I'm not gonna like talk about that. You kind of have to figure that out. But this is a 7 days free trial. So when you open this page, and obviously, like, I don't expect every one of you to have the software downloaded, because it all depends on if you have a laptop. Like, there's so many variables, so it's okay. You don't need to panic. Just follow what I do, and you can go back, and when you actually have the software downloaded, go back to the YouTube video and just go through the instructions again. So I think it's safe for me to start, right? Are there any questions or anything right now? Okay, I'm gonna actually start this session with um everything. So, like, when you have this first page open, right? So you have these options here. Actually, I'm gonna hide my. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah. Okay. So you're actually gonna have this page open, and you can see a lot of things over here. The first two things that you have to keep in mind is this create new and this open tab. So these are two different options. Create new means you're creating a file from scratch. Like, you're creating the background from scratch, you're creating everything from scratch. So that's what create new means. Open means you already have a document saved as Photoshop, so you've already worked on a previous file, and now you're opening it again to kind of start working on it again. So that's what the two differences is. Over here, you can see that there's a drag and drop image. So this means that you can, in Photoshop, it's very easy to kind of open documents or to open images. I will show you like one way to do it. So for example, if I have this image with me and I want to kind of edit this image, whatever way possible. So you can do two things. You can either just select and drop it here, and it opens the image directly on Photoshop. So then you won't have to actually make a background and then like do a lot of processes. Just drag and drop in your Photoshop file. So any image, any document, even if it's a Photoshop file, if you just drag it on the Photoshop interface, it's gonna open it. So that's a very good thing to keep in mind. You don't have to always go up. Now, for example, if you have this file open, right, and you want to open a blank document, you don't want to open a picture. Now, it'll be hard for you because, like, you don't know how to go back to a white background because this is an image. So when you need only a white background, like a blank canvas, this is what you do. You go to file, you go to new. Okay, so this is what you're gonna get. Now, there are a few certain, like, pointers that you need to look at over here. The first thing is, over here you're gonna see your documents. So you all the people who are opening Photoshop for the first time, you're gonna just see this default Photoshop size. You're not gonna see this A3 portrait because this is what I've opened before, so it kind of shows me as my recent items. um right? So what you guys have to do is think about is this side of it, the preset details. Now what the preset details has is your size of your document. It could be that you want to work on an A4 size document, an A3 size document, depending on if it's like a poster, or maybe even like an A1 document if it's like a banner, or if it's like a web interface, it already has presets, so you can just download those, for example. So for example, I have already saved some of the presets that I used frequently, so like A4 documents or A3 documents. Now how do you get these width and height numbers? It's very simple. You just go online and you just type in A3 size in millimeter, or it doesn't matter. So you get 297 by 420, right? So you just go to Photoshop, and over here you can change the units to centimeters, inches, millimeters, and then you just type in the two numbers, and then you get the width and the height. So that's simple. Now I don't know if you remember in Zainab Khalid's session, she did talk about resolution, and that's a very, very big aspect in Photoshop. If you do not take care about this in the starting, like no matter what you do in your Photoshop file, at the end it will have very bad resolution, it will be pixelated, and you will not get the same crisp result you usually get with Photoshop. So for me, I think 300 is a very good number for resolution. So just keep in mind that usually when you open images, they're usually just 72 resolution, because that's the default resolution the images are saved in. But to kind of when you save it as later again, the resolution is still not as good. So to kind of make it better, you always want to have it at 300. But you can also have it maybe at 150, depending on what you're doing in the document. So for me, when I work in architecture, it's very heavy files with a lot of plans, like buildings and 3ds, like a lot of things, so I need to have it like a very crisp resolution. But if, for example, if it's just a simple photo editing, or if it's simple just cutting out one, like removing the background of just some image, you can have it as 150 or 200. So it depends, it actually depends on what work you're doing, but 300 is like the perfect resolution for you to work in. Okay, so up until now we've just changed like these three things, and then the SI units basically that you're going to use. All of this is going to be probably the same. You don't need to touch all of that. This is just the RGB. Like you know that there are different kinds of color theories and different kinds of color types that you can use. You don't need to worry about that right now. So over here, it's like it says the white contents, transparent content is, for example, when you have a PNG, right? So it's like without any background, like without any actual background. So that's what transparent content means. Transparent means, or like white means it'll have a white background. You can remove it later on, so you don't need to worry about all of this. But like for the main things, you need to worry about this, the height and the width of your document, just to make sure, okay, you have it as a specific document, so when you go and print, or when you send it to someone, you can tell them, okay, this is A3, so it helps in scaling and in proportion. Okay, so like for example, if I have this as A3, let me go to A4. So A4 is 210 by 297. Just if you just search it up, it's, wait, sorry, it's the same. So A4, go down, just shut down. Okay, forget that. Just A4 is 210 by 297. That's like portrait. Landscape is just the opposite, 297 by 210 millimeters. So that's it for how to actually start with the document. So when you hit create, you're going to get this page. So this basically means you have an A4 document open with you now. Now, whatever you do in this, whatever images you drag and drop, they're all going to be in that A4 document. So you have that boundary of the fact that, okay, it's only an A4. So when you go print, everything is going to be inside it. Okay. So I think this is the basic of how to open a document. Now, like there are a lot of things you need to consider before actually starting with something in Photoshop. Like the first thing that you see in this whole thing is like these small icons, and each of them have very specific purpose, which is there to help you basically. I'll just go through some of them because, again, as time persists, I cannot go through every single one of them and explain them in detail. I'll go through the most important ones, so it's easier for you to work in. And the second most important thing you have to look at is this tab here, which is called the layers tab. Now in Photoshop, you have to work in layers, and layers is basically, if for example, I'm just gonna give an example. So if I'm gonna make this rectangle here, okay, did you see that another layer was created? Like it's not on the same layer as the before one, right? And that basically means that you see this eye over, you can switch off this layer, you can switch on this layer. You can't do anything here because it's locked. So if you want to unlock it, you just click on the lock button here, and then it becomes a transparent background. So this is now PNG, and this is a JPEG. I hope like you guys know the difference between PNG and JPEG. Like PNG is without any background, and JPEG is with a background. So that's the difference is. So like you see that the layers are two different layers, and in Photoshop you need to work with layers, because then there's no point of working in Photoshop, because layers is what helps you kind of identify different elements from each other, and then it also helps your work process easier. Now for example, in the future, i like I don't like this rectangle, okay, and I want to make another rectangle. So I do this, and it creates another layer. So I can just unhide this rectangle or unhide this rectangle. Like I don't have to always delete it, because I don't know if I want to use it later on. It might look better, it might not look better. So like just for the just being on the safe side, I kind of unhide it so it doesn't show. And when you actually save your file, the unhide elements don't get saved. So you don't have to worry about the fact that, oh, I didn't delete it, so like how do I, like, is that an issue? Unhide basically means that it doesn't get saved in your actual file. And if you're wondering on how to delete it, you can see this bin over here. You can just, so if I, for example, if this thing, you can either just click on the bin, or you can just press delete on your laptop. So you can just do this, and it just says yes, and then you delete that layer. um so there's, for example, if I do another, okay, now this is shapes. Okay, so just keep in mind that whenever you use any other tool, for example, the main tool in Photoshop is the brush tool. Okay, you have to create a new layer to use the brush tool on. If you use it on the same background layer, you cannot unhide and unhide. So like, I'll give you an example. Okay, so for example, if I want the background layer, which is layer 0 here, which is like this white background layer, and I have this brush, and I'm gonna like just scribble. Okay, now I cannot go back. Okay, I can do control Z, like control Z means this thingy. But if I have like a lot of like different lines and everything like that, the amount of times I have to do control Z to like go back is very annoying, and it's very time consuming. And especially when you have a lot of elements which for example, after finishing the whole document, you realize you don't like how it looks, you want to change this element with something else. It's very hard to do control Z because you've done so many steps. And also Photoshop has a capacity, it's I think only like 25 or 50 control Z's that you can do. You cannot do like unlimited control Z's, right? So like that's one thing. I'm just going to do control Z for the sake of letting you guys know. Now, how do you work in Photoshop? So whenever you have to create a new element, or you have to bring a new element, or you have to draw something, or you have to do any brush, anything like that, make sure to create a new layer. How do you create a new layer? You can see this plus sign over here. You click on it, and it basically says layer 1. So a new layer is created. Now for example, if I do whatever scribbles I want, like I can write my name, like whatever, like any brush, I can increase the size of my brush. So like you go on this part, you click on the arrow, and you increase the size, and I color in. For example, if I color the background like this, whatever, I can unhide it. Okay, I can hide, I can unhide it. For example, like it's basically saying delete but not actually delete, you know. So like every time, now for example, if this is another brush, and I want to change the color of this brush, for example, so I go to, is there a question? um okay, so for example, if I choose another color, so like, give me a second. I can now, if I do the color on top, like I cannot go back now. I can only do control Z. But if I have so many elements, it's going to be so hard. So what do? You make a new layer, you color. So if I want to put trees, I don't know, I'm just like scribbling over here. um and then you can unhide the trees. So you get where I'm coming from. So it's like you have to understand the concept of layers from very early on, because that's the whole point of Photoshop, is how you can work in layers and how you can unhide hide things, to make it feasible for you guys. Also guys, make sure that while I'm working, those of you who have Photoshop downloaded and who have it open on their screens, please follow along, so that if you have any questions, you can actually ask me and you can understand the whole process of where each command is or anything like that. So it's easier for you to also understand. So just follow along, because, and let me know if I'm going too fast, because I know I'm going a bit fast paced, because I want to complete a lot of things in the given amount of time. But just let me know and I can like go a bit slower. And please, if you have any questions, switch on your mic and ask your question. It's gonna be hard for me to go to chat every single time to check
Yeah,
your question.
yeah. So Zainab, we do have a question.
Okay.
Someone is asking, is there any shortcut to switch brushes fast?
In colors, in terms of colors, or in terms of what?
So see, this is the question. So whoever is asking, please
Yes, please.
use the raise hand feature and mute yourself and ask the question.
Yes, please. This is what I was explaining in the starting. Like, you need to explain your
Thank you.
question to me also. So who asked that question?
Muhammad Fahad.
It was
Yes,
me.
Mohammed. Yes, sure. Go ahead.
Actually, when we switch between brushes, so
Yeah.
like there are many kinds of brushes in Photoshop, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So is there any shortcut to switch between brushes, like from gradient to the bold one?
Okay, so for example, if you're on the brush tool set, so you can see that there are a lot of options here: general brushes, soft, hard, and you can actually choose from them. Um, because the target layer is hidden. Yeah, okay. So if I go on the main layer, if I create a new layer, and if I want to select, maybe if I go with wet media, okay, if I go with this brush, okay, it's like next level issues. Give me a second, please. Just using the brush. So like you can go ahead and choose the brushes. So this is where you actually select your brushes from and what kind of brushes you want. So there's this brush. I have, if I go with this color, okay. So that's how you kind of choose brushes from, and this is the whole set area. You can also do it from here. Like you don't have to always go through this small arrow, because when you choose a, what do you call, a document here, like, sorry, a tool here, it automatically comes on this side of the interface, so you can just directly choose from it, and you can increase the size and decrease the size depending on how much you want the brush. And um any other questions, please
Yeah,
switch on your
Mariam.
microphone.
Yes, Mariam raised her hand. Mariam.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, how can we make the new layer?
Okay, so to make your new layer, I think I need to hide this thing. Give me 2 seconds. I'll just hide this for now. So you see this small plus sign over here next to the bin. You just click on that. So when you click on that, you get a new layer. So for example, if you already have a layer 3, the new layer will be named layer 4. So that's how you create new layers. So if I click on it again, I'll have a new layer called layer 5. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So like sometimes also, like, how you can see that these layers are named by numbers. So layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. Sometimes it's very confusing. Like you don't remember, okay, in what layer you saved what. So for example, for me, in layer 1, I did this water. For example, this is what I'm gonna call water. Now, to make myself remember, and to kind of name it as water, what you can do is you can just double click on the text and then just write water. So you remember, okay, this layer was the layer for water. Okay, now let me try maybe for the trees that I did. Just double click on the layer 2 text like this and just write trees. So it's easier for you to go ahead and, like, when you have so many layers, you know, okay, which layer is for what. You don't have to keep switching on, switching off, switching off, switching off. It's too much of a hassle. Any other, there's another question, and has anyone raised a hand?
No, Zainab, you can continue.
I can continue. Okay, sure. I'm just gonna move this here. Okay, so I think like these are the basics of uh like just knowing what Photoshop is. Now you can see over here that there are colors. So you must have noticed that when I was switching between brushes, I wanted different colors, right? So like how you can do simple is, this is yellow color, right? I want red color. Just go on. So right now you have, oh, I think also that there is an issue. Wait, let me know, guys, if you have this color palette on the side over here, first of all, like this RGB, CMYK, grayscale, pastel, or not, because there needs to be some setting changes or something like that. Do you guys have it?
No, so there are people who are saying we can see, and some are saying no.
Okay, so I'll just let you know like why you can't see it, because okay, when you go on top, there is this small like option here, like it's like a small box with like smaller boxes inside, I think. Open that, and if it's on any other, change it to painting. And this is like my personal preference. You can go ahead and experiment with what is in essentials, what is in graphic design, what if it's in web, because they're all essentially the same things, but just the things are placed differently. And like one thing is more prominent than the other, like one command, one option. So like personally for me, I feel like painting is like easier for me to use, and because it has the color palettes on the side, it has the swatches on the side. So go ahead and switch it to painting, and I think you will have then these colors there on your basically interface. So if for example you need to switch to a color, so right now I'm on yellow, you can see, right? Now if I want to switch to pink, you just go on the color and you see like this dropper tool, like you know when you used to drink medicines as a kid, like the dropper tool, that basically means you're picking up that color. And so you just like click on that, and then your color changes. Okay, so these are preset colors that are there in Photoshop. So like there is this this thingy, there are grayscale colors, so gray colors, pastel colors. So these are preset colors that you can use from. Now for example, if like there's a pink that is not there in this whole pack, and I want to make that pink, and I want that pink, and I know how it looks like, but it's not there in this pack. So what do? I don't know if you guys can see these small color swatches here, right? So you just click on the pink one, and you can go ahead and play with the light, whether you want it light, whether you want it dark, whatever color set you want. And then you just like move around. If I want it to be a bit darker, like a magenta color, I just click OK. Now, if you want to save this color for later use, because it's harder to like, you know, keep selecting color, keep having the same color, you can do two things. Either copy this hashtag on like a notepad somewhere on your side and you keep inputting that number, or you add this color to swatches. Now, what this does is it adds it to this bar over here that you can see. I'll do it here. So if I do add to swatches and I just say um, dark purple, okay, and I just do okay, and you can see it's here. So now you don't have to keep going back to this and moving around this thing and putting it in the exact location. It's very hard. So you can just go ahead and like you know close this and pick the color up and use that color as a as your main base color if you want to make something like a logo or whatever like that. So like this is one thing. Now for example, if you don't do add to swatches, okay, if you forget, for example, if I'm going to go and if I'm going to pick this color, okay, and I do this, sorry, and I go to brushes obviously, and you do this. Now there is a possibility that the color won't come here, or you have chosen so many colors after this color that because this bar only has like a limited, I think, 10 number of colors that it can show, so your color goes behind and it does not actually show. So what do you do if you want to get this exact same color for something else, or you want to put this color in something else? You use the eyedrop tool. So the eyedrop tool is directly above the brush tool. So you just eyedrop it, pick this color again, and then go to the brush and then use it again. So this is when you have to, for example, pick a color from a picture. Okay, there's a picture you have and you want that specific color from that picture. So you use that eyedrop tool to kind of pick that color up, and then you can use it in your own work, in your own logos, in your documents. Um, are there any questions up until this stage? If there are, if there aren't, I'll go ahead with like a bit more tools on the side. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I have a Adobe Photoshop 2019 CC,
Okay.
and it doesn't show me like specified RGB and other colors. It
Yeah.
it just
Okay.
comes out with like some colors.
Yeah, that's fine, honestly, because this is the Photoshop 2020 version, and it's like it's a bit developed. It's a bit more newer interface, so that's fine. It's not a big deal. You don't need to have these pre-pack, what do you call, presets, because I personally don't use Photoshop 2020. I use 2015, and that only has like these top colors that you can see as swatches. So that's perfectly fine. That's how like you can use colors like those. Actually, what has happened in that preset is whatever you had those colors, they kind of clubbed them into like these different packs and just put them here. So it's the same thing as what you have, but just clubbed into different folders for better understanding for some people. So you don't need to worry, it's the same thing. There's not much difference. Okay.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead. I hope this is like so far it's pretty like simple and easy, and there's like not a lot of heavy content that I'm telling you guys. So I think I'm gonna go ahead with teaching you a bit of specific tools from.
Sorry, Zainab, I have a question.
Yes. Who's this?
Ikra.
Yes, go ahead.
Acha Zainab, sorry, I think I missed it out. When you
Yep.
said that we can use the dropper to choose colors from a picture from outside. I
Yes.
just wanted to know how to get that picture from outside. Like, how do
Okay.
we
Yeah, how
attach
do we
that?
get a picture in Photoshop itself? Yes, I'll actually go. I was going to go on to that aspect because I was going to teach these tools.
Okay.
So like as I mentioned before, like how I did the drag and drop thing. So as you can see, Shirume, like in the starting, I did the drag and drop thing from that interface. Now, what if you have a document open and you want to bring a picture here? Very simple. Same drag and drop option. If I have this picture that I want to put in, okay, I'm just gonna drag it, and you see that those two plus signs, and just drop it. And so you're gonna get this picture in your Photoshop file. Okay. Now you have to kind of you have to click this yes or no option over here when you have to like place the image. You can change the dimensions like the way the image is. Like you can make it smaller, bigger. It's up to you. So you just click and drag from this point. I advise you not to click and drag from these side points because it ruins the quality of the image and just the proportions. So please always click and drag from these side points. So however big you want it like this big, you want it this big. For example, if I want to make it this big, right? And then you just go ahead with clicking yes, and it places the image. Now if it places the image, that does not mean you cannot move it ever again. You can move it. The only thing you'll have to do is just like click and drag the image. You can move it wherever you want, anywhere you want. Okay. I hope like this was easy to understand, because this is a very essential part of Photoshop, to like bring images in and knowing okay how to scale them and placing them proportionally and everything like that. Okay, so as you can see also, like my image is underneath the rectangle that I created, right? What if you don't want that? What if you do want the rectangle and you don't want to unhide it, you don't want to hide it and then like work on it, because you do want to work with the rectangle. So how layers work is you can move the layers around according to priority. So what you want on top is like what you want to show the most, right? I don't want to show my brushes. I want to show my picture as the first thing you see. The rectangle can come second. I honestly don't care in that. So I want to show my picture first. So how do you do that? Actually, I'll just kind of make this bigger if it's possible. Okay. So if you guys can see, I'll actually make this bigger also so it's easier for you to see. Okay, so if you guys can see, this is my picture layer. Okay, so if I'm gonna hide, unhide, my picture gets it unhides. Okay, and this is my rectangle layer. So what you can do, it's very simple. Just click and drag your image until you see that blue line to top. And so what happens is your image is actually on top of the rectangle. You can do with that with any layer in terms of what you want to actually show and what you want to use later on, or what you don't want to show. Now, for example, if the water, okay, I want to show my water as the thing that's on top of my image. Okay, so I'm just going to bring it up and drop, like click, drag, and drop. So you have to see that blue line which kind of indicates the fact that, okay, your layer is going to be dropped here. So you have to see that. Okay, so like that's how you click, drag, and drop and bring your layers on top of each other to make sure that it's in the same order of what you want. Okay, so if I want to kind of bring this again because I want to work on the actual image. Okay, I hope everyone understood like the layers and the bringing the image to Photoshop. Anyone has any questions up until now?
Just a clarification. So higher the layer is in this, you know, box, it will be on the top, correct?
Yes, yes, yes. That's how it is. And it's like there's different reasons of why you would want a particular layer on top. It could be like how I mentioned, I just want the water to be underneath my layer and just coming out underneath my picture and just coming out from my picture, because I don't want it to be hiding my picture, and I just want it to be on the bottom half of my whole document. Like that's
Correct.
my personal choice, how I want, what I'm actually aiming for. So layers is helpful in that way, where you don't have to actually delete this chunk out. You don't have to delete this chunk out. You can just move the layers up and down to kind of hide, unhide those areas. So it's easier in that way. Okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead with working on the photo with a little bit like other tools for you guys to understand. So like the first tool I'm going to explain is this rectangular marquee tool. So if I click on this, and this tool is basically, it means selection tool. That's what this tool is about. Okay, first of all, you guys also have to understand that if you want to work with the image layer, you have to always select that layer and then work on it. Now, for example, if I'm on the water layer and if I want to edit the picture, it won't work because I'm not on the layer of the image. I'm on the layer of the water. So whatever I delete from now on, for example, will only delete the water layer contents. It won't delete the layer of the image. So you have to make sure, you have to keep checking again and again that, okay, Hiba raised her hand. Hiba, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, like, if I want to add like a picture on top of the layer, so how would I add the picture on top of the layer? Like,
You want
I
to
didn't get
add it?
that part.
Oh, okay. On top of the, I'm just going to repeat that
Like,
then.
you know, the picture. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So for example, if my picture is here, okay, if I had imported the picture, like if I drag drop the picture and it got put in underneath in the mix of these layers, and I want to put it on the topmost layer. So you just click, drag upwards, and then you're going to see this blue line, which basically says that it's going to be dropped here, and you leave. And that's how you're going to move the layers up and down. So with any other layer also, so for example, if I'm going to unhide and I have this rectangle layer, okay, and I want to put it on top, same thing, click, drag towards top, and then leave. And that's how you're going to have the layer on top. So even if I kind of now open my, like unhide my image layer, the rectangle layer is on top of the image layer. Okay, hope this clarifies your question.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, that's great then. Okay, so I was, where was I? Okay, I was in the selection tool. So what the selection tool is basically to select elements from your image to either replicate them or to delete them from your image. Now, another thing that you guys have to understand is like when you bring an image um from outside, you can see this like file thing here. I don't know if you noticed, if you, it says smart object. Okay, so what smart object is basically, if you double click on it, you can see this thing that opens up, and just click OK, and it opens another file. Now what this is basically is whatever changes you do here. Now for example, if I'm just going to take a brush and, okay, what color is it? Okay, I'm just going to like do this. Okay, and if I do control S, which basically means um oh my god, this is like another set of explanation that I need to do. Okay, I think I'm gonna hold that explanation for a little while, because that's another whole aspect which I have to kind of go through. So I'll not leave on that. So like what you guys can do right now is copy this layer. Okay, how do you copy layers? If for example, if I'm here and I want to copy this rectangle layer, now you can do two things. You can either copy the whole layer, or you can copy the individual, what do you call, elements. So if you do for example control C control V, it'll just be copied. Okay, so what will happen is when you do control V, another layer gets created, because it's on an individual layer. It's not going to be on the same layer. Okay, another layer is going to be created, and that's the whole point of layers. um so what happens is, if you want to control this image, sorry, copy this image, you just do control C control V, and it's going to be just copy pasted. Okay, now why I'm telling you guys to like control C control V is because I want to explain something else which you cannot go back to. So I'm just going to control C control V. I'm going to unhide this one, because we're going to use this image later on for something else, and I'm just going to go ahead with working with this image to show you guys some of the tools. Okay, now what you have to do when you bring an image to Photoshop is you have to rasterize it. Rasterize means that it's not a separate file of its own anymore. Like, you know how you guys like when you double click on that image, it opened another folder. That means it has separate memory. It has a separate file of its own. So when you edit this file and when you do control S, when you come back to this file, the changes will be made here. Okay, so this is what smart object means. Like, it has another file, it has another memory, it has another storage, it has another cache. So when you save anything there, when you work anything there, it automatically changes here. And that's very useful when for example, you have a lot of elements on your file, and you don't want to individually sit and work on this main file. You have other documents, like other files open, so it's easier for you to like edit small things there, and then save, and then come back here, because then this file will get too heavy if you edit everything here. It'll just be too time consuming also. So that's like one advantage of that. But sometimes it's not that much of an advantage, because I just want to do minute things. I don't want to keep saving here and then coming back here. It's too much of a hassle if it's just minute things. So what you have to do is, you go to this layer, right click. Okay, you're going to see so many options here. I'm just going to explain some of them because they're very simple. Duplicate layer means copy and paste. It's the same thing as control C control V. Delete layer means you delete the layer, which is the same thing as the bin that I explained. um, Convert to smart object means, like, if your image for some reason was not like that as a default, you convert it to that, and then you can open another file. Hope this explains. You don't need to know much about this. It's not a very like used concept for some people in some graphic design, so you don't need to worry about knowing much out of this. The thing I'm going to explain you guys is rasterized layer. Rasterized layer means that you can edit the photo on this file. You don't have to go to another file every single time to edit the file, to delete something from it. You don't have to do that. You just have to come here, rasterize it, and then you can edit it here. Now, if for example I don't rasterize it, okay, like, I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I take the selection tool. So how do you use the selection tool? You just like drag, like click and drag, and then drop. So like, you just like see how much ever you want, like whatever. Okay, now if for example I want to make two selections, like if because if I make two, the other one gets erased. So how do you do that? For example, if I want to make one like this, so you go here on top, you have these options here. You click on the second option because the first option means every time you make a selection, the other one will get erased. It's a new selection. The second one means like it's an addition. So like your selections will be additions to the previous selections. Okay. The third one means your selection is a subtraction. So for example, if I do the second one and if I make like another one like this. So you see, it's an addition. Now, if I select the third one, subtraction will be like, I want maybe this selection smaller. So it'll subtract that selection from it. Okay. Now, why I'm explaining this to you guys is because it's very important when you want to have multiple selections. Like for example, this image, I want to remove these two squares, or I want to copy paste these two selections for some other image that I'm going to use. Okay. So for example, now if I want to delete these parts from this image. Did anyone raise their hand? Anyone has a question?
I think no, we are good to
Okay,
continue.
good to continue. Okay. So if, for example, I want to delete these two squares from this whole image, if I press delete now, you'll get this image. So you'll get this. I don't know what's called. Um, you'll get this box, whatever, like this instruction thing that you cannot do this because it's not directly editable. Directly editable means you cannot edit this image here there. You have to go to the other file where you've opened the image, edit it there, and then come back here, save it, and then come back. And that's like a big hassle for some people. And personally, it's a hassle for me, so I don't do that. So what you can do, what I was talking about before, right click on the image, rasterize layer. Rasterize layer means it gets rid of all the individual storage, individual functions, individual stuff it has for the image. So now it's just a blank page, like blank 2D document. It doesn't have any memory, it doesn't have any functions, it doesn't have any files or anything like that. So you just click on rasterize layer, and you can see now that from the other layer that we had copied, which was like the before layer, you see this, the file thing has been removed. This is an indication of like if it's a smart object or if it has been rasterized. And now if for example I want to delete these two things, right? So I just press delete, and you guys can see that my like those two elements have been deleted from it. Okay, so that's one way of like if I want to delete, if I want to create some holes in some of my images or anything like that, like you have to imagine like what use you're going to get it. Because if for example in some photographs I have a building on some side which I do not like, which is very ugly, so what I do is I just go, I delete it, and then I just fill in the color with it. Now how do you fill in color? Now for example, this was the box, right? Okay, like this is a box, right? So I just go to brush, I take the eye drop, and I just want to like select this color next to it. Go to the brush, select maybe like a different kind of brush, maybe like hard round, I don't know, and just like color it in. And then maybe like select this color because this is the lighter color than this. Like this is one way of filling in color. Like there are other ways, but I'm just giving an example of how you can probably do it. Like it's a very dodgy job, but that's just one way of doing it, for example. Okay, so this is how you like what you want to do. If for example, okay, if I don't want to fill it in blue, okay, I wanted to fill this color with pink because I want to write my name here. So either you can use the brush tool to fill it in, or if you do control Z, you can see here there's a bucket tool. um where is it? Paint bucket tool. So you see over here you're going to get this gradient tool. How do you get that menu to open? Right click. So when you do right click on either, you see this small arrow. So if you do right click here, you're going to get more options for this individual tool. So if you go to your this red gradient, this box gradient, if you do right click, you're going to get this paint bucket tool. Okay, and you can just because you already have this pink color selected, you can just fill it in. Like if I want to do a color block theory, like whatever you want, like whatever images you want. If you want to create a very cool background for maybe one of your posters or anything like that, it's totally up to you how you want to utilize this aspect of it. Now there is one last thing that you need to learn from this is how to kind of remove the selection, because you guys would want to like not see the selection anymore, because why do you need the selection when you're going to go for other things, right? So what you do is you do control D. So you keep pressing control and you click on D, it's going to unselect everything. So if I do control D, you can see everything is unselected. Now the issue is now you cannot go back. Okay, you have to do only control Z. The only way for you to go back is do control Z. So what did I say before? Like if you have new things that you want to incorporate in your thingy, always make new layers. So if I do control Z, and if I do control Z again, and if my picture is there, can I just move this thing here? And if I make a new layer, which is the plus sign here, okay, and if I delete the layer now, oh, sorry, if I go to my photo layer, delete the layer, if I want to fill in the color, go to layer 6, which is the new layer, fill in the color there. Now, if you do Control D, you can unhide and hide that color that you have filled, because then you can now change these colors to whatever you want. But if you would have done what I did before, you would have to reselect this box very precisely, like zooming in. It'll be very hard and it won't be as precise. It'll be a lot of hassle. So what you can do is also, if you want to zoom in, I should have explained this before, but if you want to zoom in, it's actually you have to keep pressing alt, and then the scroll thing on your mouse, you have to kind of like push it in, push it out. So what I'm telling you are these shortcuts. You can like probably go to view, zoom in. You have to keep doing that. That's like a bit of a hassle. Or you can actually zoom in, like click this magnifying tool and zoom in that location. You can like it's, for me, these are like extra steps that I don't want to take, so I just use shortcuts. So which is like keep pressing alt and then use the scroll button on your mouse to zoom out. So that's like zoom in and zoom out. And to unselect something, you have to do control D. Okay, Azan has raised his hand. Go ahead, Azan.
I wanted to ask if how can we cut out a person from a picture if we don't want the background but we want a
Okay,
person.
yeah. Okay, so for example, let me go ahead with this image. Hmm. Let me just copy this image. That's right. Now I'll just give an example here. I will bring another image for you guys to like experiment with, or for example, like a person. Now, if I want to remove this yellow part from this blue thing, okay, it's the same thing as what Azan has asked, like remove person from this thingy. If I want to remove this yellow thing from this blue background, I don't want the blue background, I want the yellow thing. Okay, so this is very rigid, right? It's just squares and rectangles. It's not gonna help. It's not gonna, you cannot work with this. It's too rigid for you to work with. So what we use when we have to use this is, you see this third option here. This is called, and if you guys are on this tool, like right click and go to the polygonal lasso tool. So what the difference is, lasso tool is like free form, like however you move your mouse, that's how it's going to select. And polygonal is like straight lines. So you select straight lines and then you complete the selection and then you delete stuff. So I'll explain how. So if you select the polygonal lasso tool, for example, okay, now what it does is, I don't know if you guys can see, if I select like this and I make like whatever lines, and then when you come back to the starting point, you're going to see this small circle that's there. This means that you're going to start at the same point, sorry, you're going to end at the same point where you started, and this completes your selection for it to be deleted or for it to be copy pasted. Okay, so for example, if I want to select the yellow part, so I'll just like I can zoom in a bit. It's, you can zoom in however you want. I'm just going to go ahead with selecting this area, and I will tell you how to delete the background and how to delete this individual thing like after I finish selection. So you just go ahead and like select. So as you can see, I have this selection done, right? So there are two things I can do with this selection. Either delete this yellow thing, which I don't want. I want to delete the background, right? So what you guys can do is because it's easier for you to select something and then delete everything around it rather than selecting everything around it and then like just leaving the inside part, because that takes more steps, it takes more time, and I want to teach you guys what's more efficient, right? So you guys go ahead, right click on the right click on the selection, and you're going to see this option called select inverse. So select inverse is very simple. It basically means whatever you've selected on that layer, it's going to select the opposite of it. So if you selected this yellow part here, for example, it's going to select whatever is not the yellow part, whatever is not the selection that you've selected. So if I do select inverse, I don't know if you guys notice there is a line here on the edge now. Okay. Now, if I press delete now, it's just going to be the actual yellow thing. And because you want to remove the selection, do Control D. And so now you have an element of the yellow thing. Now, like it could be anything and everything. I just took this picture randomly off the internet. I just literally wrote like abstract architecture just for me to explain it to you guys. Now, if for example, I want to go ahead with, let's say, okay, let's take this woman. I just took this random picture also. I literally just dragged it. The resolution is horrible, but just for explanation's sake, oh, it's actually not that bad. Okay. If, oh, another thing which I forgot to explain is if, for example, so you've already placed the image. Now, what if you want to kind of like uh, make the picture smaller or bigger? Like, how do you do that? So you just do one option here on the top. You can see show transform controls. Okay, which is going to show you the controls. So you just select the image and drag and make it bigger and smaller whenever you want, how much ever you want. Now in this picture, for example, there are so many elements in this picture, right? There is the tree, there are the trees, there are the buildings, there's the river, there's the person, and I want, for example, I don't want this tree here, or I want to remove this woman and put a solid background on it because I'm making a poster which has to do with phones or has to do with app, some, I don't know, finance app, I don't know. It's totally up to you and totally what project you get. So for example, I want to go ahead with removing this woman. Okay, it's gonna take time, but that's just how it works. So you have to basically select the lasso tool, start individually like going around the woman and the borders. I'm gonna do a very horrible job because it takes time and it takes patience to do this, and I'm just gonna like wing it at this point. um so guys, like if you're following with me, so just go on the internet and just search like woman or like man in background or man in location, and get that image on Photoshop and do it side by side. So it's like it's easier for you to understand these commands and for easier for you to learn these commands.
Zainab, a question. So while you are selecting using this selection tool, you always have to complete the circle and come back to that circle thingy?
Yes, you
Okay.
the selection tool will not work until and unless you come back to the selection, because it's not a closed object anymore, it's not a closed selection. So it has to be a closed selection for it to work, for it to delete it, or for it to copy paste it, or for it to do anything. It has
Okay.
to be a
Thank you.
complete selection. Okay.
Thank you.
Also, Muhammad Fahad raised his hand. Go ahead.
Can we zoom in the photo and do it like more closer?
Yes, yes, you can do that. Like if for example I zoom in with like alt command and like the scroll. Oh, sorry. You can do it like extremely precise. It all depends on how much time you have and how much effort are you willing to do it. If it's like a very professional thing, you obviously can, but for now I'm just like showing you how this tool works, and I'm just doing a very like basic job at it. So you can obviously do that. That's the whole point of this tool. It's a very precise tool, so it helps you be very precise at like the individual elements. There are other ways you can do this. I'm going to explain that a bit further on, but this is one of the most common and basic ways for anyone to like remove any picture, anything from any background. Mariam Tahir has raised her hand. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Can we deselect some of the part we're selecting? Like sometimes we take the wrong part.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
So can
I
we
kind of,
deselect it?
yep. Also, don't call me ma'am. I'm not that old to call me a ma'am. Please, just say my name because I feel weird.
Sorry.
So no, it's fine. Okay, so like as I mentioned before, you can see these 3 4 commands here, right? These 3 4 options. So where we are at right now, it means that I can only select this woman. I cannot select anything else from this image. But what if I want to select this woman and this tree, or this boat? So I go with the second option, which means you are adding to your selection. So you're adding to your existing selection of the woman. So now if I go ahead and if I like do this, I can wait. If I just do like a very bad job, you can see that it has kind of merged the 2 selections. So now whatever I do will happen to these selections or everything except this selection. Okay, this is to add. Now how to subtract something. Now I don't want this boat anymore. I decided I don't want to have this boat. You go to the third option, which means subtract from selection. So I basically just go ahead and I just like select the boundaries of the boat, which I don't want anymore. Doesn't have to be precise because nothing else is selected, only the boat is selected. So now the boat will be unselected. Okay, so this can be, for example, I don't want the phone from her hand, but that will leave a gap in the picture, but I don't care, I want it like that, so I can just, so now the phone is not selected. Okay, so you can do control Z if you don't, if you actually wanted that, like that's up to you, but that's how you work with selection and add addition and subtraction tool. I hope like I answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank
Yes.
you.
Okay, that's perfect then. So for example, if I want this, I don't want this background. I want this woman. Okay, so the first thing we have to do to edit any image, as I mentioned before, is to rasterize it. And I never rasterize on the picture I have brought from outside, because I don't know if I would want that same size picture maybe in future use for something else. So I always duplicate the image, hide the previous layer, and then work on that image. Like I never work on the original image because it's like I'm taking a precaution for later on that maybe I might use the same size scale proportion for something else. So how do you duplicate image? As I mentioned, you just click on Alt. Oh, I don't know if I've mentioned if I how to duplicate an image. You can just do Control C, Control V. But as you can see now, I'm on a selection. I cannot do Control C, Control V now because now what will happen is if I select anything, if I do Control C, it will only Control C, Control V the woman. But I want the whole picture to be Control C, Control V. So what you can do is you can right click on the image, duplicate. Okay, and it just says if you want it to be the same name, I honestly don't care, so you just do okay. That means it has duplicated the image. So what I'm going to go ahead is I'm just going to hide the previous image just as like a backup for anything else that I would need. And I'm going to go ahead and rasterize this image as I explained to you guys before. Like that's the only way you can edit images in the file itself. So I'm going to rasterize. Now if we come back to our selection, I only want the woman, I don't want the background. So what you're going to do is simple, select inverse. Okay, make sure you're on the image layer because it won't work if you're not. It will only work if you press delete if you're not in any other layer. Okay, so if I do select inverse, everything except this woman has been selected on this layer. You can actually also delete this woman cutout from another layer, but why would you want to do that? Like that's like your own opinion on what you're working with. So if you go ahead and if I press delete now on your keyboard, everything except the woman has been deleted. Okay, so now you can just do Control D now. So now this woman is an image. Okay, I do Control C. Okay, now this woman is an image. Now it could literally be that I want this woman as a billboard on this thingy. So I'm just gonna place her here because maybe this is a billboard, maybe this is a bridge. I don't know. It's up to your imagination. For example. So like I don't know. I'm just gonna place her here, for example, right now. But that's how you basically work with editing photographs and cutting out photographs and kind of like removing stuff from each other. Now if per se you wanted the background and you didn't want the woman, you want a nice background of a river and buildings, but you can't find it anywhere on the internet like readily available, what you could have simply done is, like, you know how, I'm just gonna unhide this, how you have the woman, how I selected the woman, you could have literally just selected, if for example if I select this side of the image, so I want, let's say I want like these trees. I'm doing a very bad job, but bear with me. Hmm. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go ahead. So my main was that I wanted these buildings, these old historic buildings with like a bit of a greenery. Okay, so if I go to the layer, I duplicate this layer again. Or so how I duplicated this layer was in a shortcut way, as I kept pressing on Alt and then I dragged the layer on top, so it duplicates the layer. It's like a shortcut to duplicate layer rather than going again and again and like going right click and duplicating. It's like a shortcut. So you just press Alt and you like drag the layer on top, so it duplicates it. So if I delete it, okay, I have to rasterize this layer first, obviously. If I delete this layer and this layer, oops, sorry, that was a mistake on my part. I unhide these layers, and if I want this thingy, you select inverse and then you delete. So now you have only this image left, and you just do Control D to get um, thingy, and I have this person here sitting over here. So you can make a whole collage, and you can do control, like you can make it bigger, smaller. The resolution is going to be an issue, but that's just how the image was and how I have saved the image. You can get better resolution pictures, like better high quality pictures online also, but this was just random picture that I just took online. um, so this is how you basically cut and paste in Photoshop. Uzil has raised his hand. Go ahead, Uzil.
Thank you, Zainab. Just wanted to ask, how can we change a specific, a selection? So basically, change the color of a specific selection. Change its hue or saturation or its
Okay.
color in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So of that specific selection, do you mean while it is only selected, or why, or after you've cut it out?
While it's already selected,
Okay.
within the picture itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
within the picture itself. Okay. So let me just go ahead and unhide these things and just get the original picture, rasterize it so it's easier. And then if I just select, I'm just gonna select this tree, for example. Okay, just to make it easier for you guys to understand. Okay, so I have this tree over here which I want to change the color of. I don't like this green. I want to change it to more like deeper green, or however you prefer, a more lighter green. It's up to you guys. Okay, so for example, if I wanted to change it to a deeper green, oh, and if I, for example, also select this tree, okay, like just select all the greenery. Oh, sorry, I was, can you see, like while I'm doing the lasso tool, I'm on the negative, like minus on the bottom, and if you see on top, oh sorry, if you see on top, I'm on the subtraction. That means like it doesn't work because I'm subtracting nothing from nothing. So I have to go in the addition, and then I have to select uh, the addition elements of my selection. So I'm just gonna go ahead and like select the trees, for example. Okay, so for example, I want to go ahead and change the hue and saturation of these elements. Now there are many ways you can do this. Uh, like the first thing that I need you guys to explain is, oops, sorry. I think I'm right. I think I'm doing it right. Yeah, okay. So if what I did right now, I'll just do Control Z for you guys to understand. So there are these few commands that you can see on the bottom, right? So the first command is fx, which is basically used mainly for images as a whole. And after you've deleted an image, like cut out an image, it's for the shadow, for changing the gradient, making the stroke thicker, like a lot of things which I'll go into it later. The second command is masking. Now actually masking is like a very new concept for anyone who comes into Photoshop, and it basically means whatever you've selected, you are creating another linked layer to that image so that you can work specifically on it. Okay, and the way masking work is whatever you select is what you don't want. Okay, so for example, right now I've selected the trees. Right now, if I click on this, if I click on this thing, another linked layer will be collected without the tree. So there'll be like white spaces in the trees and everything else will be black. And it basically means that I want to change everything except trees. So how do you change it to I want to change it only on the trees? You just do select inverse. So now everything except the trees is selected. And because mask works in an opposite way, so it's mainly like if I select on mask, like make sure that you're on the layer of the image first of all. If I select on mask, everything except the trees has kind of gone away. Sorry, only the trees have gone away because you selected inverse, and that basically means that you do not want the trees, but you also want this backup that you might remove something else. Now how mask works is, Uzir, I'll come to your question in a bit because I'm just going to go step by step into your question so it's easier for everyone to understand. um Now how mask works is whatever is white is what you want, whatever is black is removing it. Okay, so if I go to my brush now, and because I have white selected here, you know what color you are on is because you have white as that color, right? uh, so can you see, if I do white, it means I already have it here, nothing is changing. Now how do you bring to black? Can you see this small like uh, switch button thing? Click on that, you're gonna have the black color. Now if I don't want the black, if I don't want the river, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. And so it's an easier way than lasso, or no, it's not an easier way, it's another alternative to lasso. And it's like lasso is every time you have to keep selecting, you have to keep creating select inverse. It's a big process, but in this it's just like one time you create the mask and you can remove the images, you can add the images. Now what if you wanted a part of the river, a part of the phone? So white means adding, so you just go back, and if you want a smaller size, you just go ahead and like shift it here, and then you just do this, simple. So now you have the buildings and the woman, for example. Okay, this is just one way of doing this thing. Now coming to Ozil's questions, like let me just control Z. Okay, so coming to Ozil's question on how to change the hue and saturation or something. Wait, let me do control Z one more to bring back the thingy. You can see the third option here, right? This circle with like a half option. This is what Uzil was asking, how to change the hue, the saturation of something in that image. Actually, let me do select inverse again. Okay, so you can see that there are a lot of options here. There is brightness, contrast, there's hue saturation, there's color balance, there is vibrance, there is like a lot of options, and I'm going to leave it up to you guys to experiment with the different options. Brightness, contrast, everyone understands, like it's to change the brightness of a picture, of a layer, or like that. So if I go to hue and saturation, right, and if I just select that, now you see what has happened. I don't know if you guys notice, you see this second layer that has been attached here. Now there's an issue here which I just mentioned. Mask means that whatever you select is not going to be shown, right? So if for example now I change the hue bar, it's only going to select the green. If I want pink trees, I don't know, I like pink trees. I'm going to make a very what do you call, abstract theme kind of a picture, and this is my picture, and I want to have like bright colors, like you know those movements that have happened, like those pop colors, and I want blue trees, I don't know, purple trees. Okay, you can change that. You can also change the saturation, so a bit muted colors or very bright colors. Like this is like pop art, so like bright colors is like, and like block colors are pop art, so you can go ahead with that. You can change it to any color however you like. If for example you want, if I go ahead with 0, and if it was like 0 0, and if I wanted it to be muted green, so you see I'm changing the, like the way the green is. Okay, now this is only hue. You guys can go ahead with and work with brightness levels, exposure. All of these are basically to increase the brightness and to increase the shadow in an object. These four. Vibrance is to increase the vibrance. So if I go ahead with vibrance, and if I do this, Control Z. So the thing is that because my selection got removed from before, um, what if I do this? I think I'm gonna work. Let me just show you guys how I do this. Yeah, it worked. Okay, so what I did right now, guys, is I hope I all understood the hue and saturation part and how I did it. So I basically went to the image, I selected the trees, and I went to this part and I just did hue and saturation. So what it did was, because I was on a selection, it just selected those 3 or 4 elements and made another layer for it, so that I can only move the colors and change the hue and saturation for those elements. That's it, right? So that's what it is in hue and saturation. Now for example, if what if I don't have something selected? Like right now, I don't have something selected, but I want my vibrance to act on only the tree, this layer, like only on this layer. I don't, because what happens in, if I release it, let me just show you guys. What happens in these, like these these, what do you call, effects, is when you select on them and when they come on your layer tab, they act. So whatever they're on top, they act on all the layers underneath it. So like wherever you place it, they're going to act on all the layers underneath it. But you don't want that. You only want the vibrance for that image. You don't want the vibrance of the other images to change. If for example you have a collage of images and you only want the vibrance or the hue and saturation of that image to change, so what do you do to kind of only make the vibrance act on that image? What you go ahead is you right click on that layer, and you're gonna get this thing called create clipping mask. Clipping mask is basically, it links that layer to anything underneath it. Okay, so first of all, you have to make sure that whatever image you're going to change your vibrance of is directly underneath that vibrance layer. I don't know if I'm explaining it right or if I'm explaining it well enough. It's a very tricky concept to get, but like these are such small things you only get with practice. I assume, because that's how I only got it. Like it was practice, practice, and practice. So for example, I want my vibrance layer to be linked with the trees layer, which was here in this hue and saturation. You see, when I selected, only the trees get selected. So that's what it means by like only the trees layer, right? So I want my vibrance to be only acting on the trees layer. Right now it's acting on all the whole, like the whole image and everything. You see my brushes are also getting like less vibrance color, so it's acting on everything, and I don't want that. I only want it to act on the trees layer. So what I do is, I first of all I place my layer which I wanted to act upon directly underneath the vibrance layer or the effect layer. And then I right click on the vibrance layer, create clipping mask. It just links those two layers. Okay. So when I click on it, now if I move, can you see only the tree layer is changing? Nothing else. Only the colors of the tree layers is changing. And if I increase the vibration, you can see how it has become so neonish, greenish, and here it's become like completely black and white. So you can have like, that black and white effect in your this thingy where some elements are black and white or some elements are colored and everything else is black and white. How you can do a black and white image? Very simple, very simple. Again, go to the page. You literally have an option which says black and white. Just click on that, and again you see everything is like everything underneath the black and white layer was now black and white, but you only wanted to act on this image, sorry, this image. So you do go on the black and white layer, right click, create clipping mask, and you can literally like, it's black and white now. Now you can do so many differences. You can change the reds to be more darker, to be more saturated, to be more lighter. It's totally on how you want your image to be and how like what you see. I'm just playing around, I'm not even like thinking, but I'm just showing you guys what you guys can do. And like this option bar is not only here. There's like so many options for you guys to figure out and see. But I hope I've explained the question Ozil asked in the hue and saturation, and it's like clear on how to do it. Is it
Okay.
clear? Okay, I hope, because this is this is a kind of like a tricky question, sorry, tricky thing to get, like this layer thing and this masking thing. But I advise you guys to always practice, like, because you'll only understand it better if you practice with different things. You will never get it in one go. Like, I didn't get it in one go. It took me at least like 2 years to get a hang of this mask thing and how to work around it. So I think like we're done with the very basic things in Photoshop. I like, for example, this is the pen tool that you use to create any shape, any object. So for example, if I have um, if I select on the pen tool, right? So if I select 2 points, it creates a line, and I have to go at the end to create a shape. Okay, Mohammed Fahad, yes, go ahead.
When are we going to learn about how to create memes?
Memes. Okay, see, at the end of the day, what I'm teaching you guys is basics of everything and anything. Okay, how to create memes is literally like, for example, if you take any image from the internet. Okay, let me just, I'll just bring it, I'll show you guys through what I'm doing. Okay, so I have this person here. I literally just downloaded this person like off the internet. Okay, oops, sorry. Okay, if I have this person here, okay, now what do you need in a meme? You need a box, you need a frame. So the frame comes in, oh, I think I didn't explain to you guys shapes. That's one of the very important things. So shapes is basically, you just select on the rectangular shape, drag, like click, drag and drop. It's simple. It's the same thing for everything and anything. So click, drag and drop. If you want a circular shape, you right click on this tool thing, you get an ellipse. Okay, now how do you make a circle, like a perfect circle is, you have to, now it's an ellipse, right? It's not a perfect circle. You need to have like a, you have to press shift. Okay, so keep pressing shift, and then it becomes a perfect circle, for example. Okay, if you want to make a rounded rectangle, like this is a rounded rectangle. Okay, so you see, and now see, you see the issue is now that because I didn't make new layers, these are all stuck in one layers. So now if I don't want this circle, I will have to delete everything to get it, because you have to keep making new layers every single time, even if you make shape. So for example, if I have this person, if I want to increase the shape, so when you only press it from here or here, it selects it proportionally. But if you press shift, you can select like, it's more free in terms of selection. Okay, so that's how you work with this thingy. Now if you want to change the color of let me just go ahead, sorry, let me just go ahead with this. If you want to change the color of this shape, where is this rectangle? Okay, if you want to change the color of this shape, okay, so just make sure that you select the shape, go to the tool, and you will see these options here. Okay, there are a lot of options, simple ones. Fill, any color you can choose from here. For people who are using previous versions, they will just have like a swatch panel here, like many colors, and they can just choose like different colors they want to use. And for example, if I want this color, okay, and if I want the stroke of maybe like a pink, I don't know, I'm just thinking like however I want. It's a very thin stroke, so if I want to increase the thickness, I don't know. It's like it's up to you for whatever you want to use it. If you want to put a picture inside it, or if you don't want to put a picture inside it, you want to make it look fancy. If you want dotted line, if you want this line. So, if for example, if I go ahead with like a meme look of how he asked, if I go ahead with the thicker, Okay, for example, it's this. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead, and now you can see that it's on top of the layer. So the only thing I'll have to do is, where is my person? This is my person. I'll just bring him on top to just be on top. Okay, and usually memes have like white backgrounds, I think, or even like a picture background. So you can literally take a picture from here and put a background here. Oh, I have another idea. I actually saved another photo here from a photo shoot. Fashion this thingy. Yo, okay, I think my Photoshop is acting weird. Give me a sec, guys. Hmm. Okay, for some reason I can't drag, and sometimes Photoshop just acts weird. So I can just do this. I can go to open, and then it was this one, and then because right now it's just an image. I'm gonna unlock this image because it's locked. It's like a background. So backgrounds usually are locked. So you have to unlock it by just clicking on this thingy, and I can literally just go ahead and drag it here and drop it. So that's really good in Photoshop. Like you can drag between different files that are open on top. So you can even do Control C, Control V. So if you do Control C from one file, you can do Control V on the other file. So you don't have to worry about like if drag doesn't work, like what's so big in it. And if I just do this, and if I make him now this rectangle black without any stroke, because I don't want stroke, and if I bring this down here, if I keep pressing shift, it's gonna like be like this. And how do you do text? You see this T over here, right? Click on that, and then you click on anywhere outside, and you just write when you're too cool for everyone. Okay, I'm just gonna like, and how to decrease the size of it? Go on top here, decrease the size. Like simple, very, very simple commands. You just have to figure out what you're doing. And if you want to select this text again, double click on the T. So it selects the whole text. You don't have to keep doing, you know how you in Word, you have to keep selecting it again and again. That's a hassle. So you just like, I don't know, do it here. Okay, now this is very, very, very simple. You can literally take any image from anywhere and put it here. Now, for example, I have this image here. Okay, my drag option is for some reason not working, so I'm just gonna open the files so it's easier. Okay, so I'm just gonna unlock, go to my file, save it here. Now what if I want to remove the white space from this background, right? I don't want this white space. I just want it to be like a PNG. So what do you do there? The one of the most important options that is there is called the magic selection tool. Okay, magic wand tool. Now when you have this option, right click on it, select on the third option, the magic wand tool. Okay, now the difference between this tool and lasso tool is that in lasso tool you have more control over what you're selecting, and you can individually select stuff, right? But in magic wand is like Photoshop has an AI, right? So it recognizes the same elements of that thing, and then it selects it. Now for example, if I'm selecting, like if I'm layers, this is layer 8, this is the image, and I don't want this white background. If I select on the white background, you can see everything that was white was removed. Like it wasn't removed, it has been selected. Okay, so now this is Photoshop's inbuilt AI thing. Now you can do one thing is, if you want, for example, this specific ice cream cone here, right? You can go ahead, select the lasso tool, and select the ice cream cone, do control C, do control V, you will just have the ice cream cone like separate as a separate layer. But what if I want this whole image and I don't want the background of it? This is very helpful if, for example, you have this person that was there and it had like a block background, like a block color background. So it has a yellow background and you don't want that yellow background. You want to make it either PNG or nothing. So you just select on it and it selects everything that is yellow and then and then you can remove that yellow. So if you just press delete now, and if I do this and if I do control D, you can see it has acted as as a PNG. But you can see it's not very, what do you call, it's not very clean, because that's how Magic Tool is. You cannot expect the AI to be like clean and like that. It's too advanced for this. Like there's so many small elements, but it's good enough if you want to use it as a small image. Now, for example, if from this I just want that shopping bag and I want to put it in his hand, I can literally just go ahead and delete everything else. Like I don't even need to like select only the shopping bag, because if I need more elements, I can copy this image, keep it as a backup. It's up to me, like however I want it. Okay. Now this is the only image. Now I've done a very bad job, but you guys understand the point, right? Now you see that this perspective is not, I don't know if you guys know about perspective and how like things look. As you can see, like the image is like more sideways, like a one shot perspective, and this image is like a 2D image, right? So what do you do when you have to change it to like maybe like more sideways? So what you can do is, if you keep pressing on control, see right now when you go on the top corner cursor, it moves up and down, right? So that you see, you get that arrow. But if you press control, you get this like white arrow. And what it does, it helps you transform the image into another way. So like for example, if I click and drag, so I don't know if you guys understand, like I'm just trying to make it look like maybe he's holding it, you know, the best out of my abilities, for example. And then you make him hold it. That's it. You can change the color of it. Very simple. How you can change the color is, you go to the wand tool, you select the blue part, you go to the paint bucket, make a new layer, select the pink color, just input it. Simple. It's blue. Okay, like it's very simple. If you want it to be orange, whatever. uh like at the end of the day, like making individual elements in Photoshop, like for example making editing photos is a separate aspect. Like that's a whole different area of you, what you guys need to learn. And it basically uses these commands here that you guys can see. um but in terms of like making memes or even posters or flyers or even comics, it's just that you need to get elements from different pictures. You can literally edit them on Photoshop, like remove backgrounds, remove his sunglasses. Maybe if I want to change his coat color to like, what do you call, blue, for example. So I can take the magic selection tool, try to select his coat. Oh, again, same thing. I have to go ahead and select this edition tool, because right now it's individual selection. So you have to go ahead and select that. And if I just, go ahead and select his this thing, you can use the lasso tool if you have time, obviously. But I'm just gonna show you guys how to do this. And if I just do it like this, right? And I want to change the hue as I mentioned. So you just, sorry, control Z. You just go ahead and do hue and saturation. And so now I can change his coat color to the same purple color, almost the same, like a same color scheme. So if purple, if orange and blue are your color schemes, you can go ahead with changing anything and everything to those two colors. It's like totally dependent on you. You don't even need to do hue and saturation. You can literally fill color in it and then decrease the opacity. So how you decrease opacity of an object is, if you go to the object, you can see here opacity, right? So you can just decrease his opacity and you can see he's more on the foreground. You can do that with the same, like, sorry, control D. You can with the image, if I want to decrease opacity of this, you just go ahead with like decreasing how much ever you want. Okay, and it's like it's more like you have to play around. Sorry, you have to play around with um, things and how it looks, and you have to figure out a lot of things. Like I've mentioned the basics to you guys, like for example text, fill in color, making shapes, all of that. Literally anything and everything you can do in Photoshop. There's like not a single thing which I'm going to say that you can't do in Photoshop. And in terms of, for example, flyers and posters, now if for example, like first of all my image, my this thing is, so the thing, for example, if I'm going to open a new document, okay, this is my A4. Okay, so if I go back and I want this layer, I want the person, I want the bag, and I want like the text, and I want the box, right? So what I can do is I can, if you select this layer, if you do control, keep pressing control. Okay, so I want, no, not this layer. First of all, you need to look for layers which are your layers. Okay, this one, keep pressing control and keep clicking so you get those layers. Rectangle, and then you just select, drag, and then you paste it here. Okay, I think this rectangle is not needed. Oops. Okay, now if I want to select all of these layers, I don't need to keep pressing control and keep clicking. You can just press shift, and then you select the first layer, keep pressing shift and select the last layer. So it selects all the layers in that range of the first and last. Okay, and I want to make all of these bigger, so you just make it bigger, and I'm just going to put it maybe in the corner here. Okay, I'm just going to take the text box. I'm going to have a heading, obviously, meme 101. I'm just showing you guys how you can arrange stuff also in Photoshop. So if I have 101, what is this? Backspace. I can change the size of it, obviously. 48. I can change the color of it to this purple color, because for now this is my color scheme. So you, when you pick this color text thingy, if you select any color on the screen, it selects that color. You can play around here also, that's up to you, but I want like this specific color. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. You can change the font. Simple. I want it to be, I don't know, just gonna go ahead with any font. Okay, um and then I'm just gonna select. You see like these pink lines that you get on Photoshop, that's basically the software itself telling you the alignments of stuff. So you must have noticed that in PowerPoint also, like if you move something, it aligns, it gives you that alignment line. And it's the same thing with Photoshop, and it's very helpful if you want to know if your picture is in the center, if it's not in the center, like how it is. Okay, now if I want to make the border, the heading, the same size as my this image, I can literally just select it, and I don't need to keep doing this thingy, the changing the um, text height from the top. I can literally just drag in this thingy and it'll come with the same. So if I do this, and if I want any other text, if for example I just go on the internet and I don't know, I just oh, what is a meme? I'm just gonna take random text off the internet. You shouldn't do that. You should always paraphrase. But and if you want to select the whole text, just double click on the T part. Uh, sorry. My Photoshop is acting very slow. That's fine. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and maybe do 10, be 11. Okay, and then if I want to change like the spacing between the text itself, so you see this A over here, and I hope that everyone can see it. this A option, and if you can't, just click on this file thing and you will get that A over here. It's the same thing, but here it's more useful, like it's more friendly and it's faster. So you just click the A thing, and what you have to do is you go on this second option where you can see the spacing between each. And if I, for example, do 10, 11, 9, okay, I think maybe this space is fine. Okay, and now you can see that it's going way like further away from it, right? So what you can do is, if I do alt and if I zoom out, oh wow, this was like so long. Actually, I need to do shift, just press shift and then move it, okay, instead of moving it like that. Okay, my Photoshop is acting a bit slow, so just bear with me. I think there has been, so what you can do is, it's a very like tedious process, but that's just how you do it. You have to press enter. Spread from this is a very tedious process, but that's just how Photoshop works. Or like I have used this system also, like where I press enter. Or very another system that you guys can use is, for example, if I create this box, right, and then if I press T and then I go in, you see the circle, and then I can do Control V. So the text just fits here. Okay, now if I want to change the height between each, 14, I think 14 is good. Oops, Control Z. Sorry, my Photoshop is acting very slow. You can change the color of the box. Like I don't want it to be a color. I want it to be rectangle. I want it to be white. Simple. And so if I can hide this. Right now I'm just showing you guys what you can do, like different things you can do. Uh, in Photoshop and how you can do it. And you can like put another text box here, another picture here, and just in terms of individual way the pictures work. Now if, for example, I will bring, like, let's just say I want to take this picture and I want to use it as my background. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is bring it down to my background, basically on the back. Bring it out, like if I just want to use it to the background as like this. Okay, now you can see it's very like saturated. You can decrease the opacity. Okay, or if I do this and if I want to make it like the whole page, that's totally up to you guys also. Now you see here there's this option of normal, and like there are, if you select on this, there are a lot of options that you see, and these options are basically like if you have two images overlapping, how are the images going to individually act. So whether that image is going to be a subtraction of the other image, or whether if an image is on top of it, it's going to darken the colors on it. Like you have to experiment with a lot of different functions in that. So for example, if I go down down down, like let me do it with this image actually. So if I select this background image, right, and if I go ahead with changing colors on it, you can see how for multiply it's taking the blue background color, right, because the blue is in the background and the person is like the image is on top, right? So it's like you have to kind of experiment with different functions in Photoshop. This looks kind of cool. And if I want my person to be also, oh sorry, my person to be also like maybe a different way. Oh, this looks like pop art. So, and maybe I'm gonna make this right now. I don't want it to be light. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and change it to something else. Okay, so like my whole point in telling you guys like just some of these things is that in Photoshop, it's not the same as Word, it's not the same as PPT, it's not the same as any other software. It's like everything you do in Word, everything you do in PPT is combined in Photoshop, and you can do that in Photoshop with a lot more additional things, right? So like guys, if you have any questions at this point, please do let me know, because like I've tried to explain like this certain elements in Photoshop, like to you guys, so that you guys can create something like at the end, like you can make comic sketches. Now for example, even for comic sketches, I can literally take this person, sorry, control Z, I can literally take this person as my main character, and I can make the shape around it. I can put the text. I can change the background color of it. If I want a blue color, like I want all my page to be blue, and only my what do you call, my text boxes, like my comic boxes, to be another color or a merging of another color. Like so many things that you can do, but at the end of the day, it all depends on you and how much you practice and how much you navigate yourself throughout like this whole Photoshop set. So like I've tried my best to explain to you like the main things that you might need to at least start with learning Photoshop, and like you won't have to go to YouTube videos to learn these things. Like I've given you the basics. Now at the end of the day, it's all up to you guys to navigate through the whole interface and just figure out things and try to like work on stuff on your own. So guys, let me know if you guys want to learn something specific, so I can teach you guys that right now, because like I'm teaching you everything like on the top of my head, like whatever comes in my head, I'm just telling you guys, okay, this is how it works, this is how it works. But let me know if you guys A, have any questions, or B, if you guys want to learn anything else which I didn't teach yet, or which I didn't tell you guys yet. um so yeah.
We do have a raised hand from Muhammad Fahad.
Fahad, yes, go ahead.
Actually, when we are done with the meme, okay.
Yeah.
So how will export it? Like how
Oh,
will
okay,
turn
okay, okay.
photo?
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have explained that. I don't know why that just slipped out of my mind. Okay, so now there are two things which you guys can do. Okay. Now, in this document, you see I have so many other extra things which I don't want. Now, I can go through the harder route of me going and unhiding every other thing that I have created here, which is gonna take me another 10 minutes to do, but I don't want to spend that time. Or I can literally just save or crop this part of my poster, right? So how you can do is there is this crop function here, crop tool. Select that, and you automatically see that you get this border around your whole file, right? So only thing you have to do is move it towards like your meme, whatever you've created. Okay, and you just press okay. Okay, so now what has happened is it has just selected your meme. Okay, now how do you save? Very simple. First, like I would always advise you, like I didn't do that in the starting, but I would always advise you that whenever you open a new file, you always save it as a Photoshop. Okay, so first I'm going to save it as a Photoshop because I want to come back to it later on, maybe change the color to green. I don't know, like that's up to me, right? So you just do save on your computer, and then just save it meme. And you can see it is Photoshop PSD, means it is the Photoshop version. So now whenever you're going to open this Photoshop, it's like whenever you're going to open this file, it's going to open on this interface. Okay, so that's A, that's how you save it as Photoshop. Okay, so if I'm going to save it and you just click OK here, so now it is saving. So now this is saved as Photoshop, so it says my name that I changed your name. Now if you want to save it as any other file, a PDF, a JPEG, a PNG, what do? You go to save as, save on your computer. Now you see save as type here. You go ahead and you choose one from it. Now there is JPEG, which you usually use for memes or anything like that, which is like a picture format. There is PNG here. PNG means like if there's an image or something which you don't need the background of, if like it's like a transparent background, it retains that transparent background. But if you save it as JPEG, it makes the background white. So it depends on what you want. And then there's PDF. So if like there's a big file that you want in PDF to show someone else, and if in JPEG you're not happy with the quality or something, you can save it as PDF. So for memes or for comics or for photo editing or any of those, you go ahead with JPEG, right? So like I've already saved it as meme, for example. Um, if I go ahead with save, now you see these options over here. Now it all depends on how much storage you have and how much people are going to zoom in your picture. If this picture is just going to be as it is, you don't need to change the resolution of it more, because large file means a very 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 high resolution, and a smaller file means okay, like it's smaller file, so it's like lower resolution than normal. But the settings which are there in Photoshop, it says 8 means it's okay. Like you don't, if you need to, like if you need to use this picture on a big banner, then you might go with high resolution, like when you might like scroll to a large file. Okay, but if you just want it on your phone, or if you just want it like, yeah, on your phone, or just print it on A4, you don't need to have such large file, because then it's even harder for you to send across, like on WhatsApp. Like it's going to take more time, it won't be sent across WhatsApp. So I think 8 is a good base number to send on WhatsApp, to save it on your phones, to maybe print it on A3 and stuff like that. But if you want to print like on big banners, like A1, A0 banners, it's advisable if you first save it on PDF and save it in large files. Okay, because JPEG still decreases the resolution bits, but PDF is very high quality resolution. So you just do okay, and it basically just saves it in the this thing. So if I go, and if I double click, I have it open. It's gonna take some time. It's there. Okay, so you can do anything and everything. Like if you want to decrease the opacity, you can go ahead. Now another thing is, like if you want to go back to the A4 size that you had, you see that the crop thing is still there. If you just do Control Z, it's gonna go back. So you don't have to worry about the fact that, oh my god, like once I've cropped, I cannot go back. You can obviously go back if you do Control C, provided you haven't closed your file down. If you've closed your file down and you reopen it, then it's going to be harder for you to go back. But if you've kept the file open and if you've cropped it, saved it, and then do Control Z, and then now if I want to crop this yellow part here with the background, for example, I can just crop it, save only this part as a JPEG, and then Control Z. I can just do this. So that's like very basics of how you can save your images. Even for this one, I can literally go ahead and save it as an A4. So I can just go file. First, I need to save it as a Photoshop because I haven't saved it as a Photoshop. Even if you haven't saved it as a Photoshop file, you don't have to. You can only save it as give me 2 seconds. Go to save as. Save as I think PDF. Let's go with PDF because this is like a flyer or something. So I'm just gonna say flyer. Save. Okay, just click OK here. Um, and then these are just some of the options that you might want to know. Like sometimes you want to print it like mass production, so you do high quality. Sometimes you just want for someone to see it on WhatsApp just for approval, so you can do smaller size, because sometimes on WhatsApp, because you do high quality, it does not share, you cannot open it properly. Also, like you can see the preserve Photoshop editing capabilities. If you just want to show someone on WhatsApp as the first draft, or on an social media, you can uncheck this, because you won't actually like need to edit it later on, because it'll just be the first draft, right? But if you wanted, this is your final submission, this is your final thing that you want to print, you just keep the options as it is, and you just save PDF. And then is it compatible? That's like a given thing. You just click yes, and it basically saves it. It is saving right now. It's 99%, but it saves it as PDF. But this only saves it as PDF. Program error, yeah, because my laptop is kind of acting a bit slow. So, but it is supposed to save it. So, like, don't think about my laptop because my laptop hasn't been shut down since I think 3 days now because I was working on a project. But don't worry about that. It is supposed to be saved. Okay. Yes, Fahad, go ahead.
What if like we have one laptop, okay, and the two people are using at the same time? Is there any way to protect, like if the same software is used by two persons, okay, and someone like it doesn't want you to take on this project, okay, and is there anything like we can lock it on and like for later on we can unlock it and use it?
Make a copy of it.
Honestly, sorry, yeah, who spoke? Yeah, go ahead, whoever spoke.
No, it was Fahad completing his
Oh,
question.
okay, sorry. Honestly, I don't know about anything like this because Photoshop itself does not have um that function of locking it. There might be other things like if you maybe you can lock a folder, you might have to search that of where you have saved that Photoshop file, or you can lock the file. I personally don't know like about that kind of stuff, but in Photoshop there is no such way that you can like lock it for editing by someone else because as long as it's on your desktop, it's open for whoever accesses your desktop. But I don't know if there's a way you can lock your folders for certain access. I'm not sure about that. You might have to search it up, or maybe ask someone else.
Or you can just make a copy of it.
But even if you make a copy, whoever accesses that folder can access the file, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's still not locked. But I don't know personally if anyone has ever, and has anyone ever like locked their files or folders for editing?
Me.
That- Yeah, so like you can
Yeah,
maybe
there are
help.
software online.
Yeah, so maybe you can help him out in that way. But Photoshop itself like does not have any capability like that. So it's just that way. And like just to give you guys an idea, so when I saved it as Photoshop, this is what it looks like this is my Photoshop file. Now if you want to open this Photoshop file right now, like on your this thingy, I'm actually going to close it so that like we just open it again. Now if I want to open it, I can do two things again. I can drag and drop. So if I do this, oh, my drag and drop function is, I don't know, for some reason it's not thinking right. But if your drag and drop function does not work, you just go open and you just go through your folders, whatever folder, and you just click on your file, and it opens it. Oh no. Oops. Okay, so this is basically how you open a thing. There's another thing which like was very cool to me that I would like to show you guys. Is I'll just, for example, take this. Actually, I just take this for example photo. Oh, so mine's not working. Let me just open it. Okay, if I open this and if I take it to this one, wait. Mm, um, okay. I don't know what happened with my Photoshop. It just started. Did you guys see the blank screen? Like the black
Yeah.
screen?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I think my laptop is also crying.
I think this is also
Go ahead.
an opportunity or an indication for us, that maybe we all can, pose for a picture and Sabira will take a quick screenshot for all of us.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
we have to do that. Come
Just
on,
open it.
everyone. Now it's
Please
time for you to
switch on
shine.
your,
And yes, now it was
yes,
Zainab
switch on
making
your
us proud.
cameras.
Now it's for all of you to make Zainab, both the Zainabs proud. So please turn on your cameras. And Sabila is, you are ready, right, Sabila?
Yes.
Yes, and feel free to pose the whatever way you guys want to.
All right, guys. 1, 2, 3. All right, it's done.
And another, I think there was another last thing that I wanted to mention to you guys. Whoever was working alongside me and whoever was like trying to figure out stuff, and if you've made anything that you guys want to share, so please send it on the email that you guys received for the registration link, because we do want to kind of showcase your work also on the PIF pages and like on the social medias, on the stories. So if you've created anything, or if you want to create even after this workshop finishes, create something and send it to us, so we can kind of like support each other in terms of, okay, what we have learned today, what we've achieved, what you have achieved in this workshop, in this whole like 2 hour session of what you have learned and everything. So please guys, like if you have anything that you've made or anything you want to create, please do send it to us in the email by the end of today, so that we can post it, what do you call, on the social media pages, and we can hashtag it. And please do also share it on your Instagram pages, because it's kind of and hashtag us, if obviously, and like at us obviously, and like because we want to see what you guys have done and what you guys have learned and get feedback, and if the way I've taught or if the way I've explained was actually beneficial, or it was just too much information or anything. So we do want to get that feedback from you guys. So please make sure to send whatever you've created on Photoshop itself, and your testimonials, as Zahid has mentioned, on the same email that you received the Zoom link on.
Yeah,
I think
yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Zainab Khadim. Thank you, Zainab Khalid. Thank you, the other volunteers, Sabila, Shaista from the board members, and thank you all the participants. I hope it was a very useful session. Personally, for me, it was something very interesting, and I learned so much. Um, and please don't forget to send in your testimonials along with your nice lovely picture that will go on social media, so you can shine in front of your friends. And looking forward to have most of you for our next workshop, which is on 26th. Okay, thank you, everyone.
thank you everyone. Hope you had a good time.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Take care.
Take care. Bye bye. Love is.